Welcome to the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update, extra special because it's Friday, September 15th, 2023. I'm Jeremy. Thank you for tuning in. A few items hot off the presses, ripped from the headlines. Our first item, Mr. Big. Mr. Big, Eric Martin, Paul Gilbert, Billy Sheehan on bass. Nick DiVirgilio is their new drummer. Obviously, Pat Torpey, their original drummer, passed away 2018. But Mr. Big going out on tour, announcing tour dates. They are a great live band, by the way. If you ever have a chance to see them, check them out. A lot of fun, a lot of energy, and just phenomenal band to see live. One of my favorite parts of the show is they all switch instruments and they play different instruments, and they're all good, even playing the wrong instrument. It's a lot of fun and great to check out. So Mr. Big is ready to bring their Big Finish tour to South America, Europe, and the U.S. And the first batch of shows here in the U.S. will start January 12th, 2024 in Houston. But keep an eye out because you'll probably see some more dates for Mr. Big come out. Again, great live. They're one of those bands that they were kind of like poppy, right? Everything you saw in the videos at the time were poppy, but just a killer live band. I saw them open for Rush, by the way, way back in the day. Great. Speaking of tour dates, Guns N' Roses have revealed 4 upcoming dates across Canada and the U.S. They've added stops in Edmonton, Alberta, Salt Lake City, Utah, Denver, Colorado, and Nampa, Idaho. I think Nampa, Idaho is right outside of Boise. So tickets will be available starting on the 18th. So if you'd like to live in those areas and would like to check out Guns N' Roses, you can absolutely do that. More news. We've all been waiting with bated breath. Will Richie Sambora and John Bon Jovi ever get back together? I mean, let's be honest. Do we care? I don't know. But this is a news item. Richie Sambora was on the Shred with Shifty podcast. This is Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters has a podcast. I've never heard it. I'll have to check it out. But he was once again asked about the possibility of rejoining John Bon Jovi or the band Bon Jovi. And he responded, "We're talking about it." He says, "We're talking about it." And he says there's a demand for it. So someone is demanding that Richie and John get back together. And, you got to give the people what they want. But he says there's a demand for it, especially outside of the USA. So there you go. Okay, John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora may soon be back together again. All right, now, I don't know if it's called controversial. The article I'm looking at on Blabbermouth calls it controversial. They call it Motorhead's most controversial album, Another Perfect Day, which came out in 1983. Is it controversial? Is there, for me personally, this was the album, my first Motorhead album. This was the album that, I'd heard the name Motorhead, right? But this was the first album I bought, and this was my introduction to Motorhead. There was a video on MTV when it came out for One Track Mind. I saw the video and I said, dude, that is cool. I'm going to go buy it. This was the first album without Fast Eddie. It was Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy. I love this album. What's controversial about it? Did I miss a memo? What's going on? Anyways, why am I bringing all this up? Because the band is releasing it. Let me get this right. It was their 6th studio album, and Lemmy said it was a more musical approach. The classic lineup's full tilt ferocity harnessed to more traditional guitar rock tropes, enhanced by carefully crafted production. Obviously, Lemmy didn't say that. I'm just reading it from the article. But so what they're doing is they are re-releasing this. It's a great album. I went back, probably been 3 months ago, went back and re-listened to it. I love this album. Another Day at the Funny Farm. What's not to like about it? And yes, Brian Robertson's style, a lot different than Fast Eddie Clarke's, but both great styles. I think Brian Robertson's, as mentioned, is a little more textural, more modern sounding than Fast Eddie, but good stuff. So if you've never heard the album, Another Perfect Day, then check it out. I mean, it's a great album, and yes, it's different than the Fast Eddie Clarke era, but still really good. I mean, you still got Filthy Animal, you got Lemmy. What's not to like about it? Another Perfect Day being re-released. Great. We're going to end with some sad news. The KK Downing Crying Out Loud tour continues. And what do I mean by that? Every interview he has, he's still crying about not being in Judas Priest, which is ironic because he's the one that left Judas Priest. No one's fault but his own. So the latest story in a brand new interview with Marco Srihala of Chaos Zine, founding Judas Priest guitarist Kenneth KK Downing was asked what it was like to reunite with his former band for a performance at last year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He responded, well, I was kind of debating whether to go there and do it or not because of all the circumstances. That was kind of a Liverpoolian. Anyways, I don't have a good KK accent. Plus, it was a long way to go. Anyways, he talks about how he was there. He played with the band, but they were kept separate the whole time. He wasn't allowed to walk down the red carpet together. And he said, it was all very sad, but that's the way they wanted it. KK, dude, this is all because you quit the band. I'm telling you as a friend, I'm telling you as a fan, just stop whining about it. You're not in the band. You're probably not going to be in the band. That's what happens when you quit a band. So KK, please stop. All right. That's about all I got. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't done so, did you know you can support the classic guitar rock effort to take over the world by becoming a subscriber on Twitter, now called X, for just $1 a month. $1 a month, you can subscribe and support the podcast. If you aren't following us on Twitter, please do. At Classic Guitar R1, at Classic Guitar R1 on Twitter or X. And again, you can subscribe for just $1. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. Bye-bye.